Ubisoft revealed the release date for the next big update, an updated roadmap and more for Valhalla. Plus I want to talk about the river raids, because I was able to ask Jose about it in a recent interview, and well, looks like we get a new location at least soon. So I time to go over. If you like that, then a like on the video would of course really help me out, and let's go. But first, the sponsor of this video, my go-to VPN, Surfshark. It of course helps you stay safe on the internet, so no one can see your private data while you surf the web. It protects you against phishing, hackers, and also when on a public Wi-Fi, for example, which can be pretty risky. And of course, another cool thing about VPNs is that you can see content that is not available in your region. Surfshark has servers in 65 different countries, including Canada, where you can still watch the Marvel movies on Netflix. So if you use this Surfshark Google Chrome extension, for example, connect to a server in Toronto, refresh your browser, and then bam, you can watch these otherwise unavailable movies. And there are many examples of this. And I now got a special offer, namely 83% off and 3 extra months for free. You can only get this offer via the special link I put in the video description, so totally check it out. And thanks of course to Surfshark for sponsoring the video, really helps me improve the channel. And now let's get back into it. In my previous video we discussed that a new Valhalla update was added to the PlayStation database, so that likely means that we see a release the week after that. And well, Ubisoft now confirmed that that is indeed the case, thanks to a new roadmap where we see that the update is coming on April 27th. Druids is on May 13th, and then the next update is late spring, so likely on June 1st, because we also learned that they are now shifting from a 4-week to a 5-week title update release schedule to allow more thorough testing and refinement. Like, I'm all for this if this means more polished updates, which it should mean. So that is great. Going back to the roadmap though, because we see a separate square for the Mastery Challenge, while I think it is part of title update 1.2.2, because that's the only update we get late spring, so there's no other way for them to add the mode. Kind of thrown off by the image, but I still think that that late spring update also has the Mastery Challenge, so again, likely June 1st. And yeah, the fish screenshot for the April 27th update means that we get some fixes for these fishes, although they do note that the solution has a direct impact on the existing fauna and mechanics, so they moved the full fix into June to further test and refine. However, there will be a partial solution with this upcoming April update. So don't expect the full fish fixes yet, but I really like how they are upfront about it and share like a timeline for the full fix as well. They also give an update on the absence of an Elderman main mission and how they are looking into every reported instance. So even if your fix is not included yet, they are looking into it. And the Pig's Prophecy mystery should be fixed with the next update as well. And I will of course have a video up when the patch notes are live and also when the update is out, showcasing everything in action. One of the big updates we of course got recently added the River Raid game mode that Ubisoft said before launch would be highly replayable, but turned out that after multiple runs, when you got everything, there was no good incentive to use the mode again. And with them saying highly replayable, I thought we would be like spending time in this mode for weeks to come. So I asked Jose during my recent interview what the idea behind the mode was, and if they were going to apply the learnings to the upcoming Mastery Challenges. And here is what he said.
In terms of the river raids, we wanted to do something that was replayable, but more in a way that it really felt to you that the world was adapting to you. You know, and there's a bunch of tech that I'm not going to go into that is tied to that, but we really wanted you to feel that if you raid a location, you're not going to be able to just come back and say, haha, I'm going to plunder you again. But rather that you felt like they knew, oh yeah, you know, this jerk is coming and we better be ready. We better reinforce the town, we better hire some guards, we better put some river barriers, but that it really felt like it was a progression of what you were doing. So, you know, the replayability that is there, it's not intended to necessarily be grindy or to be infinite replayable, but rather to give you this context that you can play this activity multiple times.
Sure.
But still get something out of value.
We kinda already figured this out, of course, but the philosophy from the team behind Odyssey is different than the team behind Valhalla. Odyssey totally had, of course, way more replayable content, and sure, it could be grindy to get the right purple gear pieces for your build, fight the infinite amount of mercenaries, do the arena over and over again for XP, but it was a choice to go down this path to create a better character, try a new playstyle, and it really seems that in Valhalla, they don't want to give us reasons to do the same thing over and over again, so that the game doesn't become grindy. So that's, I think, the reason why at one point you can have all the items in Vaughn's shop and that there is no other incentive to start a river raid again, or likely why we cannot replay any of the other content or encounters in the game. This will not come as a surprise, but I prefer the Odyssey way, to at least have the option to go down the grindy path if you want, instead of the game making the choice for the player. Like, there are still issues with the major runes and how you can get them in the game right now, but that could have been solved if they, for example, had a weekly selection of major runes in Vaughn's shop that you could only get by getting supplies. So then you had to do the river raids to get these major runes, while again, right now, it's impossible to get the one you want. So I asked about the future of the river raids, and I was happy and surprised by the response. Is the river raids now, because in the trailer we saw settlement items, those were not in Vaughn's shop when we met him, so is there still something planned for the river raids, or are you like leaving that behind and looking at the future?
No, of course we're not leaving it behind. Like I said, we've been listening to the feedback from the players. It seems like a lot of people enjoyed it, whether they thought it was too easy or too hard. So we're looking at the feedback that we're getting. You will see more of river raids.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you will see more of river raids at least once. I'll say that.
Okay, cool. So Vaughn wasn't teasing at the end of the mission. Hey, there are more mysteries. Wasn't for nothing. Okay, that's good to hear. Good to hear. And well, seems like the first time we will likely get a river raid update will already be with the Druids DLC, because let's go once again to Andy Reloads, and of course, as always, a link to his channel is in the video description. He namely revealed that Petter, his friend, digged up file names for River Arif, which might only be one of multiple river raid locations we can go to, because we see RR2, likely River Raid 2, and we all see that the previous River Raids had numbers as well, so then you would think that there's an RR1 as well, at least, right? As you might know, this river is in Ireland, so high chance that it will be available with the Druids DLC. I do think this means that you can only access it if you have the Season Pass or bought the DLC separately. It also says S2 in the file names, which could revert to Season 2, where of course the previous rivers were added during Season 1 of Valhalla, and that's why I think we also see S1 in their file names. And I'm overall curious if we will see some changes to these new river raids. Jose also noted that a lot of data they got was actually revealing that people thought the mode was too challenging, and you of course lose everything when you die. So maybe the solution will be to have like a separate, more difficult mode, so people who thought the regular river raids were too challenging can just do the regular mode, and then a more difficult nightmare mode with like way harder enemies. I still think like bringing back the Zealots for this would be awesome. I'm not expecting that, but I will be a bit disappointed if the new river raid locations will just be the same as we already had. Like, we need to see some changes, or did they already make some secret changes? And I'm not sure if you played the river raids recently, but I don't think I've ever encountered like a ton of kinsmen around launch. But now I actually went to River D, to one of the locations, and I got like multiple of them. So did they secretly change that with the recent update, or is it maybe because I've now done like River D that many times that suddenly these like more powerful enemies show up? I don't know. Let me know your take in the comments down below. Would love to know it. Either way, for a challenge, we should be looking at the mastery challenges. I shared some info on those recently. I will link to that video at the end of this one. And we also discussed the potential of Lagata being the master that comes to the settlement. This was pointed out by Andy Reloads because he found like files referring to Lagata in the game. But yeah, many of you reached out about this, and thanks a lot for that, because I just never read the X description. I just don't do that for weapons. Pretty stupid, but here we actually learn that Lagata was indeed the mother of Halfdan, And as I showed you in that previous video, we have a cutscene where Halfdan explains that his mother died by a Finnish arrow. So yeah, Lagata is no more, so it would be weird if she showed up as the master for these challenges, right? Maybe she was planned for the game at one point, and that is why we see her name in the files. But yeah, I don't think it's linked to this mode, sadly. Subscribe, of course, for way more Valhalla content if you haven't already. A like on the video would really help me out. And totally check out my previous video on the first Druid screenshots. You can watch that by clicking on the screen, or I will link to it at the end of our photo mode showcase. You can, of course, send in your shots via the JorRaptor hashtag on Twitter, or via my dedicated pictures channel on the Discord. And you can join the Discord via the link in the pinned comments. Once you are there, accept the rules, and then you are able to post. Okay, Joyce, your turn, the photo mode expert here on the channel. You, of course, selected 3 shots from the community, and yeah, I'm in a different area, but that's not important right now. Which one did you pick this time?
What's up, everyone? Let's start with Dark Seed, and I hope I pronounced this right, over on Discord, who created this close-up shot of Eivor in deep thought. I love how the rays of the sun are like shining on his head and giving this like shadow on the side here, while also covering the back. The quality is also really good. Moving on to Gumdo Mike with this ambient shot of Norway and Eivor's ship. What I really love about this is the creativity behind this one, because you see like 2 sides of color here. Warm on the left because of the rays of the sun, while the headpiece of the ship separates it from the cold color scheme on the right. It's actually pretty well done.
How?
Yeah, how? I don't know. It's
Okay.
really good. I want to create one myself. And finally, we've got Gara over on Twitter, who took this cinematic shot of Eivor after fighting this Goliath. It looks like there's some mercy going on here, where Eivor is walking away, looking over his shoulder, while the Goliath is like begging for his help with the arm stretched out. Will he finish the job, I wonder?
Is the Goliath, though, because I think it's a frost giant.
Is it a frost giant?
Look at the blue sleeve. Like,
oh! Is it the Goliath frost giant?
yeah, it's the big guy.
Ah.
Well, thanks, Joyce, and thanks everyone for sending your shots. Of course, subscribe for way more Valhalla content, and then you will also know if your shot will be in the next video. You can watch our previous video by clicking on the screen, and for now, we will speak to you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.